What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jacob Hunter, to be exact, and we back with episode 2 of Jake's Sports Tape. Today we talking NFL football. NFL is back, so we talking AFC, NFC predictions, Super Bowl predictions, who's gonna be at the top, who's gonna be at the bottom, and all that in between. So without further ado, let's get it. So to start out, we're gonna start out with the AFC, man, the most competitive division in my opinion this year. So I'm gonna go through each division within the AFC, talk about who's gonna be the number 1 team, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to go all the way from the AFC to the NFC. And after I do that, I'm going to give you a rundown of the playoffs and who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. So starting off in the AFC, we're going to start at AFC East first. AFC East consists of the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets. Of these 4 teams, I have the Bills at number 1. Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, added Von Miller in the offseason. I mean, just a complete team. Came within a, 15 second window overtime of beating Patrick Mahomes last year. So reloaded and came back for another year. And I think they'll overall be probably the best team on paper in the NFL. Secondly, we got the Dolphins. I have the Dolphins at the 2 in the AFC East. I think Tua takes that next step. I have Tyreek Hill having a 1,000-yard year. They got other weapons such as Raheem Mostert and different other players as well, Mike Gesicki, and players like that within the team this year. So the Dolphins, I think, will surprise a lot of people and make a good run in the AFC East. New England Patriots at number 3. I think the Patriots take a step back from last year. Mac Jones was a first-year guy, caught a lot of people by surprise and, just surprised a lot of people. So I don't think this year with the weapons that he has, he'll be able to produce like he did. And I'm predicting them to be 3rd in the AFC East this year. And lastly, we have the New York Jets. The Jets got better. Obviously, they drafted some good pieces in the draft, picked up Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner on defense, but overall it's still the Jets. And I feel like, in the NFL, your team is only as good as your quarterback leads you, and I'm not a firm believer in their quarterback behind center as much as I am the other team. So that's my AFC East predictions. From the AFC East, we go to the AFC West. Definitely the hardest division in football this year, by far. Every team could literally make the playoffs. Every team could literally make a run. But, obviously it comes down to a couple teams. So without further ado, I got the Chiefs at number 1. Patrick Mahomes. The guy's won the AFC East, 4 years in a row, I think. He's been that guy. So it's kind of hard to knock him. And obviously I know he lost Tyreek Hill and some other guys left as well. But he did add Juju Smith-Schuster, Valdez-Scantling, a lot of other pieces around him this year. And you still got Travis Kelce. And when you got Kelce and Mahomes, it's kind of hard to bet against them until somebody shows me that they can actually beat them. So I'm going to go to Chiefs at number 1. 2, my sleeper team this year, and you'll see later on in this video why they're the sleeper team. I have the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers got a lot better this year. They added Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. You still got Derwin James, Bosa, on defense. And now offensively, you got Justin Herbert, who's a gunslinger. He has weapons all around him. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. The list goes on and on. So I think the Chargers is one of those teams you got to worry about, and I have them 2nd in the AFC West just simply because I just like Pat Mahomes and the brilliance of him, and I feel like it's going to be too much to overcome within the season. Thirdly, I have the Denver Broncos. Added Russell Wilson this offseason. Still have weapons from Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. Players like that. So I still think Denver will win a lot of games, but I don't necessarily think that they'll be able to place 1 or 2 within the division. It's going to be a new system, new implementation of Russell Wilson. And obviously he's a vet who's won Super Bowl before, been to multiple Super Bowls. But at the end of the day, you got to implement different things. And I just don't feel like, within that division, more teams are already established versus him who's trying to implement things. And lastly, I got the Raiders. Derek Carr, I feel like is a pretty good quarterback, underrated, honestly. And they added the best receiver in football to me, Devontae Adams. But I'm not a firm believer in the Raiders defense as of right now. And I think that's probably what will be the downfall of them this year. But in the AFC West, I have the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and then the Raiders. AFC West, we swing into the AFC North. Number 1 in the AFC North, this should probably not be a shock to anybody, Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously went to the Super Bowl last year, led by Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. To me, the best receiving core in football, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and what's the guy from Clemson? Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. Oof. Brain fart. T. Higgins. So I think that's the best receiving core in football. Obviously, they have Joe Mixon, and Cincinnati's going to have a lot of experience from getting to the Super Bowl last year. And I think they'll put that together and actually be able to win the AFC North this year compared to the other teams. Second in the AFC North, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers, I think, will be a pretty decent team. Mike Tomlin always seems to be able to make a run and win a lot of games regardless of what he has. And they still have a good defense led by pretty good defenders. You got TJ Watt at the end. It's kind of hard to go against him. And he had 20 plus sacks last year. So the defense is going to be good. The question mark, obviously, is at quarterback. And they're going with Mitch Trubisky for the first game. So we'll see how long that holds up and if Kenny Pickett can actually crack that starting lineup. But I got them 2. Cleveland at 3. Obviously, Deshaun Watson got suspended, I think, 11 games. But I do think that they have one of the best running games in the league, led by Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So they'll be able to stay afloat. When I say afloat, I probably mean maybe out of the 11 games he's going, they might win. They might go 500 it can't go 511. They might go 5-6, 6-5, something like that. And when Deshaun comes back, I don't think it'll be enough time for them to actually make a legit run. But so I have them 3. And then obviously 4th, I have Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. I have Baltimore low because I just feel like for Lamar Jackson, he is, to me, a real good player. Obviously MVP of the league. But they still haven't given him a number 1 receiver. And he's starting to get to the point now where teams know exactly what they're going to do. So it's only going to get harder unless you put pieces around him. They got Bateman, but they don't have a guy that I feel like, could just take over a game from the receiving end. Mark Andrews is a tight end, and we all know tight ends can impact the game, but you obviously need that guy who can push the ball down the field consistently on the outside of the numbers to be able to stretch the defense and open up things for other people. So I got Baltimore at 4, so that's Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Baltimore in the AFC North. AFC South, my Indianapolis Colts. I got them winning the division this year. Matt Ryan, first-year quarterback for us. But we have, in my opinion, the top 2. You can say him, Derrick Henry, wherever you want to go as far as running backs in the league. Jonathan Taylor. So with him, we added Stephon Gilmore in defense. It's going to be key to pay attention to Shaquille Leonard's health throughout the year, as he's one of the best linebackers in the league. But I feel like if he can hold up and give us some good time, then he can actually lead to us winning the AFC South. So I got the Colts at number 1. Number 2, I got the Tennessee Titans. They lost A.J. Brown to Philly, but they still have the 2,000-yard king in the backfield, and Derrick Henry. With that running game, he can win you some games. So I think they'll win some games, and I'll put them second in the AFC South. Thirdly, I have Jacksonville, the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence coming back, second year. Struggled a lot last year, but they gave him some more pieces this year, and I feel like they'll be better than they were last year, win more games than they did. So I have them third in the AFC South. And 4th, lastly, I have the Houston Texans. A lot of question marks around Houston. Obviously, in my opinion, going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. So I don't see them, making a push for the AFC South, better yet the AFC. So those are my AFC predictions from the AFC East, AFC West, North, and South. I got the Bills winning the AFC East. I got the Chiefs winning the AFC West. Bengals winning the AFC North. And I had the Colts winning the AFC South. So that's the AFC. And we're going to swing it to the NFC. In the NFC, man, we taking it to the NFC East first. I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East. I think Jalen Hurts has been given the tools he needs to succeed within that division. They gave him A.J. Brown this year from Tennessee to go along with Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, guys of that nature. And obviously adding pieces in the draft on defense from Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean to go along with Fletcher Cox and Darius Slay. I think those are the pieces that he needs to actually succeed. So he has no excuse in order to succeed and win a division, and I think he actually will. Dallas Cowboys coming in second. I think Dak Prescott obviously lost Amari Cooper, but still has CeeDee Lamb, still has Ezekiel Elliott. Michael Parsons, one of the best defenders in the league. So I think they'll win some games and come in second within that division. Thirdly, we have the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz is an upgrade from Taylor Heineke, in my opinion, which will, in return, help them win some more games than they did last year. Chase Young's health is very key to that team, so I will watch that. But I have them third in the NFC East. And lastly, the New York Giants. I don't think the Giants will be able to do anything this year. They've been a laughingstock pretty much the last decade, and I think that continues. But I do hope, and I think that Saquon Barkley will have a bounce-back year, so that's something to pay attention to as well. So I have the Eagles, the Cowboys, Washington, and New York in the NFC East. NFC West, defending Super Bowl champ LA Rams, I have them repeating and winning that division. Adding Bobby Wagner in the offseason was definitely key. Adding Allen Robinson, still go along with Cooper Kupp, top 5 receiver in the league, Matt Stafford, gunslinger. So to go along with Aaron Donald and all those other guys, I think they'll win the division. Secondly, San Francisco, I got Trey Lance coming in, and I think I'm so glad that they actually gave him the keys and actually, gave Jimmy G that backup role, because that would be key in giving them a new look and a new feel for the team, which I think will lead to success. They'll win some games, but I don't think they'll be able to win the NFC West. Thirdly, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray obviously had a lot of offseason drama with his contract and stuff of that nature, but it's solved, it's settled and things like that, so I think they'll be okay. Having DeAndre Hopkins gone for 6 games will hurt them, but they'll be able to win some games and be able to compete a little bit, but not enough to be actually win the NFC West. Lastly, we got the Seattle Seahawks in that division. Russell Wilson was the franchise guy. He's gone. And right now, your options are Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Not really sure if those are the best options. So I obviously had them last in the NFC West. And they won't win a lot of games at all. They'll be probably one of the worst teams in the league. Quote me on that. So I got the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and the Seattle Seahawks. Swinging to the NFC North, where we have the king, man. Aaron Rodgers has been the king of that division for a long time, and he will still reign king this year, as he will win that division. And I feel like he will. Obviously, he lost Devontae Adams, but he will be able to adjust, as he always has been able to adjust with whoever he has, and be able to win some games and win that division. Still got AJ, still got Aaron Jones in the backfield, so they have some pieces to go along with him to be able to win in that division. I think they will. Secondly, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins is an average quarterback in the NFL, but he has Justin Jefferson, a top 10 receiver, Adam Thielen, another complimentary receiver, to go along with one of the most underrated backs in the league, Dalvin Cook, to be able to win some games and compete in that division, but not also win it. So I have them second. Thirdly, I have Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. They'll win more games than they did last year. DeAndre Swift and Jameson Williams will be a deep threat ball for Jared Goff to be able to throw and them to be able to have. So that's additional help for him. Aiden Hutchinson, I think, will help them out on defense as well, coming from Michigan. So I think they'll be better than they were last year, but I'm not picking them to win, 10 games or 8 games, anything like that. They'll win more than they did last year, but that'll be about it. And lastly, we have the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields, I hopefully takes that next step, which I think he will. Coordinators and stuff change, so I think he'll be under better hands than he was last year with the head coach, and he'll be able to win a few more games than he did last year. So NFC North, we got Green Bay, Minnesota, the Detroit Lions, and the Chicago Bears. And lastly, we got NFC South, where the GOAT resides, Tom Brady, and he will reside on top again. He wins that division this year. Chris Godwin's health is something to pay attention to, but Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, the list goes on of guys he has weapons with. And this Brady, man, he's been able to win at whatever level it is forever, how long, with whatever he has. So I'm sure he'll figure it out, and they'll be able to win that division, in my opinion. So I'm picking them to win the NFC South. I got Jameis and the New Orleans Saints coming in second. I think Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave in the draft. I'm not sure how Mike Thomas' health will be, but overall, I think they have a pretty good team. Defensively, too, with guys up front. They'll be able to do different things and compete within that division, and the NFC as well, but I don't see them winning that division. I think Tampa Bay does that, so I have them second. Thirdly, Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. Definitely an upgrade from Sam Darnold. The Panthers fan can agree, and I live in North Carolina, so hopefully Baker Mayfield wins some games so we can get half off donuts and Krispy Kreme, but we'll see. But I think that's an upgrade, definitely. Carolina still has Robbie Anderson. Christian McCaffrey, if he can stay healthy, is another, superstar level player, so they'll be able to win some games and hopefully compete. But we shall see. But Baker is definitely an upgrade from what they had in Sam Darnold. And lastly, the Atlanta Falcons. I don't expect them to win a lot of games. Marcus Mariota may help them win a few more games than they had last year. Kyle Pitts is obviously a young stud, so they'll be able to win a few games, but not enough to be able to compete in the division or anything like that. So NFC division leaders, I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the East, Rams winning the West. I have the Packers winning the North, and lastly, the Buccaneers winning the South. So that's my NFC predictions, and let's move on to the playoffs. So the NFL playoff predictions. This is going to be pretty interesting. As you can see, I have the seedings, who I think is going to be the seeds of the AFC and the NFC, all the way down to the Super Bowl winner. So first, we're going to start off with the AFC. I got the Bills with the 1 seed, so they get the bye. The Bengals will beat the Dolphins in the opening round. Too much for the Dolphins, man. Joe Burrow and those guys got that experience getting to the Super Bowl last year, so I think they'll be too much for Tua and company, and they'll beat them easily in the first round. Chiefs and Steelers kind of the same result. The Steelers have Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett as those quarterback options, I don't think that will lead to playoff success this year. And obviously, you're going up against, to me, the best quarterback in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes. So that won't fare well for them. So I got the Chiefs advancing on that side. Colts and Chargers. So this is going to hurt me. The Colts is my team, but too much LA Chargers, man. Offensively, defensively, that team is just going to be too much for us to handle in the playoffs. So I see them beating us in that first round and advancing on to the second round. Second round, I have the Bills playing the Chargers. This is going to shock some folks. The Chargers will beat the Bills. The Bills, I think, will have the best team on paper. They do have the best team on paper. They got better, obviously, in the offseason. But I'm honestly going to bank on the fact that I don't think that the best team always wins in football. And so I think the Bills will have some things happen throughout the season, whether it's injuries, guys, not panning out, maybe something that goes terribly wrong that causes them to not be able to win in the playoffs against the LA Chargers, who I think has next to the Bills, one of the most complete teams in the NFL. So I think Justin Herbert takes that next step, limits the turnovers within that game, and allows the Chargers to actually beat the Buffalo Bills to advance to the AFC Championship game, where they will face the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes gets his revenge on Joe Burrow and the Bengals this year and beats them. Has to travel to Cincinnati this year to do it, but I think he does do it. I don't think the Bengals actually have enough to be able to repeat and go back and do what they did last year. So I think it's going to be a little harder, and I think Kansas City gets it done. Patrick Mahomes, with the experience he has, Travis Kelce and those guys, I think they'll be able to overcome losing Tyreek Hill this year and being able to win that game and advance to the AFC Championship game where they will see the LA Chargers. And we'll lose. I have the LA Chargers coming out of the AFC this year, man. I'm a firm believer in that team. I think they're healthy this year. Adding J.C. Jackson was such a plus for them because Derwin James can actually roam and show his skills off as being one of the best safeties in the league. So I got the Chargers coming out of the AFC, man. I got them winning the AFC this year. And we're going to swing to the NFC and see who they'll be facing. I have the Buccaneers as the 1 seed in the NFC. Tom Brady and company, I think, will win a lot of games this year, man. It's just hard to go against him when he has been able to win any environment with any type of players, whether it's from injuries, free agency, all different kind of things. I mean, it's Brady. He knows how to win. He's done it at the highest level more than anybody else. So I'm giving them the 1 seed and giving them the the opportunity to be able to compete, obviously, in the playoffs again. 2 seed, I got Philly. I got the Rams with the 3 seed, the Packers with the 4, the Saints with the 5, Cowboys with the 6, and the 49ers with the 7 seed. The Eagles will play the 49ers. In that round, I have Philly beating them. I honestly think Philly's offense will be able to control that game, control that clock, and be able to beat them. I'm not so sold on Trey Lance as of yet. I think he's a great young talent, but when you go up against guys like Fletcher Cox and Darius Slay and guys who've actually been there and done it before, I don't think that fares well for him in the playoffs, and especially when you got to travel to Philadelphia to play and used to that West Coast style. So I think that won't fare well for Trey Lance, and they will lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Rams will beat the Cowboys. Dak and company doesn't have enough this year, to me, to be able to beat the Rams. That Rams defense is going to have Dak running for his life. Ezekiel Elliott is going to have a better year than he did last year, but they will need to have a great running game against the Rams to be able to beat them, and I don't see that happening with that front that the Rams had and adding Bobby Wagner. That's going to be tough to run against. So I don't see Dak, especially not being able to pass on them as much as he could last year, losing weapons from slot receivers to wideouts and Amari Cooper and guys of that nature. So I see Dallas losing to the Rams. And the Saints and Packers game is going to be pretty interesting. I think New Orleans beats them. I'm going to give Jameson them the edge, man. I think Alvin Kamara is a mismatch for a lot of guys. And the Packers, to me, losing Devontae Adams, they'll be able to win a lot of regular season games. But when it comes to postseason, man, you got to have those guys that you can go to and get the ball to be able to win games for you. So I think he's going to rely on too many young guys that hasn't proven that they can do it in the playoffs on a high stage. So I think the Saints have more guys who are actually experienced in that role, and they're actually be able to compete and beat the Packers. So they advance to where they'll play the Buccaneers, who will win that. Obviously, I have Tom Brady in the playoffs. I mean, it's kind of hard to go against him unless something catastrophic happens during the season. But if all things holds up as it is right now, I think the Buccaneers will beat the Saints and advance to the NFC Championship game, where they will face the Philadelphia Eagles. This is very surprising, I'm sure, for a lot of people, but I really am a firm believer in as a Super Bowl champion, which the LA Rams are. It's so hard to repeat because you have so much going against you, and it's already momentum with other teams wanting to play you and knock you off. So I feel like the Eagles will be that team this year, the team that kind of surprises people in the NFC. A pretty complete team. I think Jalen Hurts is they're not going to rely on him to be Superman and have to throw for 300 yards every game to win. They have a balanced game where they can run the ball, they can actually throw the ball. They got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, other weapons he can use in the playoffs where you need possessions where you can move the ball down the field methodically and win games. So I think they beat the L.A. Rams and actually advanced in the NFC Championship game where they play the Buccaneers, and this is where the road ends for them as Tom Brady advances to another Super Bowl, as he has already been doing enough, but he advances to another Super Bowl where he will play the L.A. Chargers. And the Super Bowl will be the L.A. Chargers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I have the L.A. Chargers winning, man. I think that defense is just going to be too much. Adding Khalil Mack is just going to open up so many doors for Bosa on the other side. I mean, you got guys in the back end being able to compete, and the more that they can get the ball to Justin Herbert and that explosive offense with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler with Herbert slinging it, I mean, that's just hard to beat. So I actually have the LA Chargers winning the Super Bowl this year, man. It's going to be surprising. And I have a score in here of 35-27. I think there'll be a low-key shootout, but I think they'll be able to do enough to win the Super Bowl. So I'm going with Justin Herbert and the guys to win the Super Bowl this year. And we'll see how it plays out. But, hey, that's my AFC, NFC predictions from the division to the playoffs and everything in between. I hope you guys enjoyed, man. And that's my conclusion of the second episode. So until next time, we'll probably be back soon to talk about some college football. It's a lot of different things going on in that sport. So I'll be able to talk about that, preview some NBA things and that nature. But that's my NFL take for the year, and man, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm excited for the season to kick off, and we'll see how it goes. So that concludes episode 2 of Jake's Sports Take, NFL football preview. And until next time, peace.